Promising a new camera and boasting specs to be a powerhouse, the S9 and S9 Plus phones bring some well-needed updates to the Galaxy family. Like most of the world, we have one major question though. Is it all that much better than the S8 and S8 Plus and worth upgrading to? Or will the price drop on last year's Infinity screen be more compelling to make that purchase? Here with Bad Tech and Gaming, where we bring our passions to life through YouTube to help improve your life, we intend on answering those questions for you with our Galaxy review of the S9 and S9 Plus. Per our usual breakdown, we have 4 categories: great, good, bad, and horrible. Don't forget to stick around for the end so that way you can get our conclusion and our buying recommendation. Now, this is more of a buyer's guide, so we will not cover every detail of the phone. However, unsurprisingly, we will start with the greats. To get the most talked about feature out of the way, we will start with the camera. It is great and the slow motion video works extremely well, but it is difficult to get used to. However, compared to the Moto Z2 Force camera, it is incredible. We will be doing a full review of that camera in another video. For now, here's some shots and some slow-mo video that I took. So let's go ahead and get the specs out of the way. The 5.8-inch Galaxy S9, the 6.2-inch Galaxy S9 Plus is no surprise and very similar to last year, although the screen does look a lot sharper. The Snapdragon 845 processor that's in both the phones will be more than powerful to handle everything that you need. Now, the Galaxy S9 has 4 GB of RAM and the S9 Plus has 6 GB of RAM, both of which will be able to handle just about anything you can throw at them. With 64 GB of internal storage and micro SD cards that can hold up to a lot, more than anyone will ever need, pretty much any SD card you can find on the market, this phone will have more storage than you know what to do with. The 12-megapixel rear camera on either phone is amazing, but the Galaxy S9 Plus does have that dual telephoto lens on the back. Both of these cameras have 1.5 and 2.4 apertures, which is just incredible for low light and regular light situations, and it can adjust. The S9 Plus with the 2x optical zoom is also extremely useful. The 8-megapixel front-facing camera surprises really nobody, and it is good overall, but it's not my favorite thing in the world. The IP68 water resistance doesn't surprise anybody, but the battery life is a little bit underwhelming. With 3000 milliamp hours in the S9 and 3500 in the S9 Plus, it's identical to what was in last year's phones and is, for the most part, okay. I get about a day's use out of them, and a little bit less if I watch a lot of YouTube videos. In the box, of course, you get the AKG stereo speakers or the headphones, because you actually have a headphone jack, thank you, and then Android 8.0 out of the box. Now, the colors of these phones do come in midnight black, coral blue, and lilac purple. However, I prefer the blue, and that's just me. No surprise here, but the screen is unbelievably good. The details that you can see are incredible, and the colors look absolutely amazing, even over last year's Infinity screen. Even the brightness in broad daylight is superb, especially compared to other phones like the Moto Z2 Force or the original Google Pixel phone. Moving on to the goods, build quality. Now, Samsung has overall build quality that is great, and the phone is very solid. However, due to the glass sandwich and how breakable it is, you have to get a nice glass screen protector and case for the phone, so it's going to end up in the good category. My brother-in-law actually broke his phone just days after purchasing it from a chest-high fall, and he did have a flip cover case on it. I usually recommend something like an Otterbox Symmetry or Commuter for average drops, and if you're rough, you'll definitely have to get a Defender case because, well, that glass sandwich breaks easily. And no, this is not an Otterbox sponsored video. I don't even have 1,000 subscribers, so I don't even think I'm allowed to do that. I've just found these cases over the last 6 years to be the most consistent. I also have put some sort of glass screen protector on each of my phones no matter what. I will leave links in the description below for you guys if you want to see those, and if you request, I will make more review videos about them. Continuing with the goods, TouchWiz does make it into the great category in some areas, but does fall short and just barely into the good category because it is still laggy at times. It does seem slower. It makes the phone seem slower than my Moto Z2 Force. However, every year it has gotten improvements and have been closer and closer to stock Android, not to mention adding in features that I have come to know and love. So it is almost great, but it's still something that does frustrate me at times. The fingerprint scanner makes it into the good category and does have some improvements. For example, it moves from the side of the camera down below the camera, which is really nice. However, sometimes I have to try twice or 2 times just to get into the phone. Now, it's really not that big of an issue, but it can get annoying if I'm really in a hurry, and the same goes for the touch gestures where I can pull down the notification shade. I have to try sometimes 2 or 3 times before it actually goes through. This, like I said, overall isn't gonna say I hate it, but it does make it annoying when I'm trying to get in very quickly. Quickly moving on to the bads, and that lagginess does end up in the bad category. So after using stock Android devices, there are times when this phone just makes me cringe and almost angry actually, but it's bound to happen when you have so much extra stuff packed into Android's already feature-packed operating system. So the lag overall does end up here, which is also surprising seeing as it is a powerhouse phone. Another feature in the bad category is the in-screen home button. Now, I know, I missed the physical home button. I'm still a little salty about that, but that's not why it's in the bad category. This button gets pressed a lot when I don't mean to, like while playing video games. I go to shoot someone and press a little bit too hard on one side of the screen and end up on the home screen. I turn the phone upside down to try to rectify that, but then I end up pressing it with my other thumb while trying to move. This is just annoying, and there should be an on-off button for it, or a switch or somewhere that I can toggle on and off at will, as I just really get frustrated with it while playing, well, shooter games, and if you watch this channel, you know I do that quite a bit. Last but not least, the horrible category. There's really only one thing here: the battery on the S9. Not necessarily the Plus, but it is awful. It dies most of the time halfway through my day on my medium usage, which is a normal person's heavy usage. I always end up using my Moto Z with the Moto battery pack by the end of the day. It's quite frustrating because, well, I just hoped for better. And I think that also has to do a little bit with TouchWiz being an overlay over Android, just lots more stuff for the phone to process. In conclusion, don't worry, I'm wrapping it up. With design comparing nearly identical to the S8 and only a handful of new features that are useful, if you already have a Galaxy S8 or S8 Plus or are a really big budgeter, now you'll probably be better off waiting for the 10 or buying the S9 once it goes on sale. For all other phones that people may own, if you can get past the battery on the S9 and the awkward home button, this is money well spent. I recommend this phone all day to most people. It knocks out all of the basics and improves on most of the areas that the last year's phone struggled. And also something to consider is the lag. If you're coming from an Apple device or a stock Android device, and that sort of thing does kind of bother you, even if it doesn't, the lag on this phone still may bother you at times, and it's really only when going through the user interface, not necessarily when you're playing video games or anything like that, as it is a powerhouse and handles those with ease. Lastly, don't forget to subscribe if you want to see the future camera review and anything that we missed in this review. Like if you think we do a good job, and comment if I missed anything. As I said, this is a purchaser's guide, so it's not necessarily a full-on review of the phone, just kind of some tidbits that I have noticed that would make it worth buying or not worth buying in the coming summer season. Friends and family and everything in between, have a wonderful day. It is time to end.